I've been working out now since about 4 years consistently, and anyone who's been working out since a while knows that after about 2 years, progress starts slowing down a lot. The first time I've realized I've started making less progress, I thought I needed to do more exercises and train more often. And this led to me training for 2 hours almost every day. The result of that, even less progress and more fatigue. But now for the last month, I followed Mike Mentzer's training approach, and I can tell you guys, everything changed for me. And that's why I want to talk about my experience and how you can start implementing his approach in your training program. But before I start, I want to explain you who Mike Mentzer actually was and how his training philosophy actually looked like. Mike Mentzer was a very famous bodybuilder during the times where Arnold Schwarzenegger was famous as well. Some people even argued and said he had a better physique than Arnold himself. Now, at the end of the day, this doesn't really matter. It shows us that he was competing against other world-class bodybuilders and that he knows what he was talking about. Now, the main difference between Mike Mentzer and most of the other bodybuilders, like for example Arnold or Ronnie Coleman, was that Mike Mentzer was doing much less volume in the gym. Most bodybuilders during this time and still to this day are working out multiple hours a day. Arnold Schwarzenegger even mentioned in an interview that he was working out twice a day for multiple hours. Now Mike, on the other hand, was only training 3 times a week for 45 minutes. Now, of course, we all know that these people were using steroids, and Mike Mentzer, of course, as well. But personally, I think this even shows us that Mike Mentzer's approach is so much more effective than the other ones. I mean, people who are on steroid can handle much more volume than people who are natural. And if someone who is taking steroids follows a low volume training program and makes this much progress, then his training approach definitely is something that people who are natural should follow. So the reason why Mike Mentzer was only working out 45 minutes is because he was only doing 2 sets per muscle group. Most people are doing 4 or up to 5 sets per exercise. And that's the reason why most people who are going to the gym are in there for up to 2 hours, as I was doing back in the days. But the thing is, the key factor for muscle growth is the intensity and how hard we go on these exercises. This is even something Arnold said, that the last few reps are the most effective ones. The hardest reps where you push till failure. And that's what Mike Mentzer believed as well. And that's why he skipped the first 2 sets that most people are doing and they don't go even close till failure, and he only did the last 2 sets and just went full out on them. So he actually benefited as much from 2 sets as most people are benefiting from 4 sets. Because most people aren't going hard on the first 2. I know, some people now will argue and say, just go till failure on all 4 sets and you will benefit even more and build more muscle. Well, I understand why people might think this, and I was there as well and even did this back in the days. But the problem is that we as natural lifters can fall into overtraining very fast. And as we can see, even Mike Mentzer, who was using PEDs, was able to make more progress with only 2 sets. Because I believe all the other bodybuilders who were doing more sets also went very hard on all of their sets and even did more than Mike. But as we saw, Mike was able to make as much progress, maybe even more, as some people who were doing more volume in the same industry as him. Great, now you actually understand what Mike Mentzer's approach was and what has set him apart from the other bodybuilders. And now I want to talk about my own experience and what difference I felt after following this program for only 1 month. Well, I can right away say I was shocked how much progress I was able to make with less work. I mean, I had less sets, shorter workouts, and didn't train as often as I used to, and I was able to make more progress. This sounds very paradox, something that most people would wish to be true. And in my case, it actually worked. As I said, back in the days I was working out 6 to 7 times a week for almost 2 hours a day. And my body just constantly was overtrained. I wasn't able to use more weight over time. And I plateaued at almost every exercise. And now, since I only started doing 2 sets per exercise, I was able to use more weight for the same exercises. So this shows me that my body benefited from doing less work. Personally, I think this isn't talked about enough. I mean, it totally makes sense to think that if you don't see progress anymore, that you will need to do more work to actually see progress again. And also lots of people in the fitness industry actually advise you to do this. But the problem is, it sounds more realistic and trustworthy when someone advises you that you will probably need to do more work than if someone tells you you need to do less work in the gym if you want to see progress again. I can totally relate to this as well. At the beginning, I thought this can't be true. I mean, if I start doing less work in the gym, I will start declining and lose gains. And so that you can experience the same, I advise you to keep your training program. Do all of the same exercises, but just go down with the overall amount of sets that you do. Just half everything. Do the same exercises, but only do 2 sets per exercise. This will lead to you only doing 45-minute workouts. You still can train 5, 6 or 7 times a week. This is something that we can optimize later. First, I just want to see you benefit from only doing shorter workouts and doing less sets. Once you actually see that this works and helps you to make more progress, I'm sure you will also start taking more rest days and go full in on the Mike Mentzer training approach. But now, very important to mention is that we have to put all of our focus on the sets that we're doing in the gym. This is something I've realized after switching to this training approach. When we only train for 45 minutes and only do very little sets, these sets need all of our attention and we really have to focus on the muscle. Personally, I also really liked going into a workout and thinking to myself, how can I make this the best workout I've ever had? Back in the days when I was training 2 hours a day, I just thought to myself, how can I get through this workout? But now, if I only train for 45 minutes, I think, how can I make it the best workout? And because I want to see you guys actually also make more progress, I advise you to film yourself doing the last set. So start recording the last set of your exercise and look if you're really training till failure. If you do, you should be pulling faces and look like you're almost dying. If you don't look like this, you probably still had some reps left in the tank. And this is something that we can't allow ourselves with this training approach. So to finish off, I want to tell you guys that this training approach won't be easier for you. The actual training probably will be harder and more exhausting. But because you give your body enough rest to actually recover from these intense sessions, you will start making more progress, because intensity is the key factor for muscle growth and not training length. So give it a try to be able to experience the same. Now, if you found this video helpful, then please like and subscribe, and then see you in the next one.